So I had that kind of confidence.
You're not Michael Jordan. You're not the GOAT. You did choke in an NBA Finals. 4 consecutive fourth quarters in an NBA Finals. This man was scoring 4 points. One game, he scored 0 points. In an NBA Finals fourth quarter. With Jason Terry or J.J. Barea guarding you. There is no explanation for that to anybody who knows basketball.
The basketball world froze when Larry Bird delivered 5 words that sent shockwaves across the league. Stop pretending you're the GOAT. No green. No sarcasm. Just cold, direct honesty. And the message was clearly aimed at LeBron James. This wasn't a random hot take from a former player looking for attention. This was Larry Legend, a man who built his reputation on fearless talk and even bigger performances, stepping into one of basketball's most heated debates. And he didn't tiptoe around it. He challenged the crown itself. In a January 2025 interview, Bird didn't just question the greatest of all time label. He broke down why he believes the conversation is far from over. Leaning back with the same calm confidence he once showed while calling out his exact shooting spot before draining the shot, Bird made his stance clear. He said being in the debate is one thing, but acting like it's already settled is another. The reaction didn't explode instantly. At first, it simmered. But once fans replayed the quote, social media caught fire. Even some of LeBron's most loyal supporters paused. Because when Larry Bird speaks about greatness, people listen. This wasn't a random voice chasing headlines. This was Larry Bird, 3-time champion, 3-time MVP, and one of the most ruthless closers the game has ever seen. Looking at today's king and basically saying the crown might not fit as perfectly as advertised, the internet exploded within minutes. Supporters of LeBron James fired back, accusing Bird of being bitter, outdated, even jealous of LeBron's unmatched longevity. But Bird's backers didn't come empty-handed. They showed up with finals records, clutch time highlights, side-by-side comparisons of teammates, and deep dives into era differences. What started as a quote turned into an all-out basketball civil war. And Bird didn't hesitate. On the surface, that sounds like a simple advantage. But Bird challenged that logic immediately. He argued that counting rings without context is the easy way out. His questions went deeper. How were those titles built? What obstacles stood in the way? Did you create a dynasty, or did you relocate until the situation was right? Bird won all 3 of his championships in one place, with one organization, the Boston Celtics. No team hopping, no desits, just continuity and chemistry. LeBron captured his 4 titles across 3 franchises: the Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Each stop stacked with star talent and massive expectations. Bird made it clear he never dialed up rivals to form a super team. He pointed to the foundation built in Boston alongside Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, a core developed through smart drafting and patience. That group battled through the brutal 1980s, going head-to-head with dynasties like Los Angeles Lakers, the Detroit Pistons, and the Philadelphia 76ers led by Julius Erving. For Bird, loyalty wasn't just a word. It was part of the legacy. And that's where this debate stops being about numbers and starts becoming about philosophy. Larry Bird. This isn't just a debate. It's a heavyweight title fight for basketball history. And when he looks at LeBron James's journey, he sees it through a completely different lens. 3 team changes. 3 new situations. For championships spread across the map. In Bird's eyes, that's not building one lasting empire. That's moving pieces until the path clears. He didn't ignore 2011 either. The finals loss to the Dallas Mavericks still hangs in the air, especially since the Miami Heat were heavy favorites. For Bird, moments like that matter. He believes the greatest player ever doesn't fade when the lights are brightest. He pointed out that Michael Jordan didn't. Magic Johnson didn't. And he insists he didn't either. Then come the numbers. LeBron stands at 4 wins and 6 losses in the NBA Finals. 10 appearances, but more defeats than victories. Bird finished 3-2. Jordan won a perfect 6-0. Bird's argument cuts straight to the bone. If you claim the greatest of all time title, how do you leave the biggest stage with a losing finals record? But he didn't stop at championships. Bird pushed the conversation into leadership. And that's where things truly heated up. For him, leadership isn't about switching teams when adversity hits. It's not about shifting narratives when pressure builds. It's about standing firm, absorbing the heat, and delivering when everything is on the line.
You're not Michael Jordan. You're not the GOAT. You did choke in an NBA Finals. 4 consecutive fourth quarters in an NBA Finals. This man was scoring 4 points. One game, he scored 0 points. In an NBA Finals fourth quarter. With Jason Terry or J.J. Barea guarding you. There is no explanation for that to anybody who knows basketball.
For Larry Bird, this is where the conversation stops being polite and starts being personal. He says leadership isn't about highlight reels or stat lines. It's about sacrifice. It's about lifting the players beside you. And it's about delivering when the lights are blinding and the pressure feels almost unbearable. Bird pointed to his own career as evidence. He didn't just dominate games, he elevated careers. Dennis Johnson flourished alongside him and built a Hall of Fame resume. Kevin McHale grew into one of the most skilled post scorers the league has ever seen. Robert Parrish was already talented, but in Boston, with Bird at the center, he reached another tier. Bird's message was simple. Greatness means doing the small things too. Passing when a teammate has the better look. Setting screens. Diving for loose balls. Taking less shine so the team shines more. That, in his eyes, defines a true leader. Then came his sharpest criticism, aimed squarely at LeBron James. Bird acknowledged LeBron's numbers are historic, but he questioned what happens when adversity strikes. Bird suggested that when seasons fall apart, the blame often shifts to teammates, to coaching staffs, to front offices, that he also revisited a long-standing narrative around LeBron's influence behind the scenes. The idea that he has played a powerful role in roster decisions, pushing for veteran moves that match his championship window. Bird didn't mince words. In his view, being the greatest ever and steering personnel decisions at the same time blurs the line between leadership and control. And that's where this debate moves beyond stats and rings, into philosophy, responsibility, and what greatness is really supposed to look like. Bird's stance doesn't waver. If you want influence, you own the outcome. In his view, you can't shape the roster and then step aside when the plan collapses. For years, conversations have followed LeBron James about his reported impact on team decisions in Miami, Cleveland, and Los Angeles, backing certain coaches, supporting key signings, and moving young talent for proven veterans. And when the formula stopped delivering titles, the situation shifted again. That's where Larry Bird draws the line. He built his entire career with one franchise, the Boston Celtics. Noti locations, noti sits. He trusted management, developed chemistry, and fought with the roster he had. To Bird, that's what lasting greatness looks like. Legends don't rewrite the script mid-season. They don't search for softer landings. They compete with what's in front of them. And if they fall short, they fall swinging. For Bird, this debate isn't about playbooks or box scores. It's about mentality. It's about mindset. And he believes that, despite LeBron's historic resume, that mentality doesn't fully match what he considers the true GOAT standard. Then he stepped into even more explosive territory, eras. Bird didn't sugarcoat it. He says the 1980s were packed with Hall of Fame talent every single night. Battles against Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers. Wars with Isaiah Thomas and the Detroit Pistons. Showdowns featuring Julius Erving, Moses Malone, and Dominique Wilkins. There were no easy nights. No coasting through the regular season and flipping a switch in April. Bird argues the league was smaller, rosters were stacked, and the path to the finals was brutal from start to finish. And when he looks at LeBron's run through the Eastern Conference during his prime, he asks a simple but pointed question. How tough was that road, really? For Bird, that part of the story matters just as much as the rings themselves. Hawks, the Raptors before Kawhi Bird, didn't hold back. He basically said, you think it was easy back then? To even get close to a championship, he had to go through Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy, the powerhouse core of the Los Angeles Lakers. That wasn't just competition. That was a gauntlet. When Bird looks at LeBron James' run from 2011 to 2018, 8 straight finals appearances, he admits it's impressive. But he immediately shifts to context. In his view, The Eastern Conference during that stretch didn't present the same level of yearly dynasty-level roadblocks. There weren't multiple MVP winners stacked across rival rosters year after year. There weren't historic superpowers waiting at every turn. Bird's argument is blunt. Dominating a conference isn't the same as surviving a battlefield. And when LeBron reached the finals, the results were mixed. For Bird, losses on the biggest stage don't just fade away. They become part of the resume. In his eyes, the greatest player ever doesn't split dominance and struggle depending on the round. Then the conversation moved to physicality, the never-ending generational debate. Bird didn't dismiss LeBron's talent. At 6'9" and around 250 pounds, LeBron's combination of size and athleticism is undeniable. But Bird says the 1980s were a different animal. Hand-checking was legal. Defenders could body you up on every possession. The game was more physical, less whistle-driven. Bird's point wasn't that LeBron couldn't play in that era. It was that the dominance might not look the same. Drop today's stars into a time when every drive meant absorbing contact, and the equation changes. For Bird, context is everything. And he believes his climb to greatness was steeper. And just when you think the debate has covered every stat and era comparison, Bird shifts again toward the intangibles. The things no box score can fully measure.